Scott Walker, who just yesterday dropped out of the Republican primary contest, has a message for many of the remaining contenders. He wants them to join him. Let's watch.
I was sitting in church yesterday. The pastor's words reminded me that the Bible is full of stories about people who were called to be leaders in unusual ways. Today, I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive, conservative message can rise to the top of the field. With this in mind, I will suspend my campaign immediately. I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same so that the voters can focus on a limited number of candidates who can offer a positive, conservative alternative to the current frontrunner.
Ooh, I love that for two different reasons. Okay, so number one, he is going to lead by leaving. Yeah. Okay.
Back in the day in Little League, I led by never getting on base. I never did Little League.
But this is a conservative idea of leading. That's what Sarah Palin did, too. She led by quitting when she was governor of Alaska. Now this, from the people who say that Obama leads from behind.
He's barely even behind.
Okay, isn't that ironic?
Yeah. First, he had to have his funding, his donors dry up. Then he had to dip to 0% in the polls, and only then was he prepared to lead.
Yeah, wait, anyway. If you were ready to lead, that's right, John's right. When you were at 19%, why didn't you lead right then and there and say, I'm out of 5,000, I'm leaving, everybody? Yeah. Okay, no. This is not called leading, it's called quitting. You're done, you're finished. Okay, but that's actually my second favorite part. My favorite part is the reason he left. Clear the field so that Donald Trump doesn't win. I wonder,
you think he was talking about Trump?
I wonder if anyone predicted that was the reason before he gave that press conference. The donors were not happy. They were displeased with the... And by the way, that's their word.
Disturbing image.
The bundlers called him a product, and then they were having issues with the product. So it just got recalled. So now they're going to take all their money and they're going to shift it to a better product and get rid of a lot of the people that are in the race so you can be down to a couple of guys challenging Donald Trump. Because if you've got 17 people in the race and Donald Trump locks up the 25% insane vote, he's going to win. But if you've got a couple of people in the race, well, then that 25% doesn't cut it and someone else will win. So the donors are consolidating. I don't know, John. That seemed like that was no.
Half true. Look, I thought that they were going to waste a lot of their money for another 2 months. I really did think that. I thought that they were just going to pour a bunch of money into that pit of fire. But no, I guess once you hit zero, they start to consider other possibilities.
One thing, as a known Cenk hater in this room, I cut these videos for this guy. And I remember Scott Walker was doing the speech at about the same time we were starting the show, but he was a little late. So maybe, Cenk, did you actually hear this part of the speech before you went on air? I mean, that's what some people may want to know. Some say it. I didn't say it.
Yeah, no, I was having it fed into my non-existent IFB while we were doing the show. Okay, so now let's go back to some. Forget about me being right. The reason that I made that statement and the reason that Scott Walker dropped out is the far more important issue here, obviously, which is that the donors don't like Donald Trump. And that might throw a lot of you off because liberals are really worried about Donald Trump because he's a madman. It's not like Republican donors are worried that he has fascist tendencies and he's a madman. They're worried because they can't control him. And one of the things that Donald Trump says is, I'm going to raise taxes on hedge fund managers. He means more private equity guys. They take advantage of the lower taxes more than other people do. But so a lot of the incredibly rich donors are like, whoa, wait, no, we're used to having whoever the Republican nominee be right here in our back pocket, okay? So now this guy's not in our back pocket. There's a lot of things he says we like, but he's uncontrollable. Plus, he's talking about raising taxes, and we cannot have it.
Which I don't believe for a second he's going to do that. I did a final judgment on excerpts from his book that he published in 2011. He had a whole chapter on taxes, which was titled something to the effect of, "It's your money, you should keep it," where he would get rid of no corporate taxes. There would be no corporate taxes, no estate tax, no capital gains tax, and the top tax rate, he would reduce it to 4%, would be 15%. which is lower than the other conservative plans. He would actually, it's not a flat tax because it's like 5% up to 15. It does actually go up. It's progressive in that. But the end result would be less taxation than those flat taxes.
So, John, I believe that he wrote that in the book. I believe that is the more likely outcome of what he would do because he is massively right-wing, and he's massively rich. So he's going to want to lower taxes on himself, and that's all he cares about anyways, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But the donors are not positive about that.
Yeah.
He's running a populist campaign, right? Yeah. And remember when I talked to Grover Norquist many, many years ago, we interviewed him on the show, and we said, why did you guys in 2000 pick George Bush instead of John McCain to back? Now, Grover Norquist runs the main anti-tax group. That's where the millionaires and billionaires pour their money in. That's how they pick their leaders, right? They go, and then those guys give the money, and whoever has more money usually wins, right? And he said, because we asked John McCain, will you do what we tell you? And he said, no, I'm a leader, and I'm going to do what I tell you. Whatever I think is the right thing. George Bush said, yeah, name it. I'll do whatever you ask me to do, right? In essence, that was the gist of that conversation. So that's what the Republican donors like, a product they know and they can rely on. So this product, Trump, is defective, right? They don't know which way it's going to go. So that's why they're like, get out. Never mind. Yeah, Scott, you would have been a great president. You would have done exactly what we told you. You are a perfect water boy, but you're not doing well enough. I got to clear the field. Get out, get out, get out. And so it's going to happen to more and more of them quicker than you realize.
Now, do you think if Trump had that conversation, and that's not in his makeup to do it, but if he did that on the issue of like taxes, business regulation, whatever, do you think that would be it? He's the next nominee? If he could actually reassure them?
No,
because they wouldn't trust him still?
No, you can't. No, who's stupid enough? And the Republican donors are not stupid. There are a lot of things, but they're not stupid. Who's stupid enough to think that Trump will actually follow through on his word?
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody. This is the guy who brags about like, you were stupid enough to give me your money, and then I went bankrupt and didn't pay you back. Took advantage of the laws. Fuck you, right? That's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna follow through on his word?
He'll sign it if it makes you feel better.
Yeah. No. The Koch brothers aren't that stupid. Adelson's not that stupid. More importantly, the corporate money is not that stupid.